the technology will work. We are live. Amazing. Hello, everybody. And hi, Jason. How's it going?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. It's fun to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here. For those of you who don't know Jason and who don't know where he's coming from, he is from Quicc. And you might remember at the last in-person Cambridge Social Media Day, we had Chrissy who represented Quicc, and it was at a time where you were launching, I think it was an Android app in the development, so it was like a big announcement. I was absolutely loving that.
Yeah.
And we worked throughout the last year with Dan Holloway, about doing lots of great video content training. And today we have Jason to again add a little bit more to the mix and helped us and explained to us how to turn our videos, the videos that we've learned over the past couple of years with Dan, how to create and how to overcome our imposter and how to overcome our fears, and with the planning of video, strategy behind video, the technology behind video. Now we have Jason to help us. Okay, now we have lots of video, but we're not using it properly. We're really just getting it out there and letting it sit in the archive. And Jason will help us understand how we can really take the video that we already have and that we're creating and take it to the next level for our business. So without any further ado, Jason, the stage is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lenka, so much. I'm very excited to be in a list of amazing names. And while this might not be an in-person event, it's always fun to see people online, especially after such a whirlwind, even the last couple of years that we've had as a company, as a brand new startup, then going into 2020 and now recovering into 2021. It's been a wild ride to say the least. But I would love to share a little bit about who we are as a company, our vision, our mission, how we got started, and how we ended up where we are today, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Awesome. So my name's Jason Toevs. I'm a co-founder and head of product here at Quicc. And we started, my co-founder Mike and I started working together back in 2017, actually. And it was an amazing journey walking through the early startup stages, trying to help people be heard in really tough situations. So areas in which they may be new to video, areas in which they might not know how to edit video or share who they are online. We were helping people who were applying for jobs. And a lot of the technology that we built in the early days actually formed what we know as Quicc today. And it was incredible to see that transition, but it really cemented our purpose and our vision in being heard, right? So how do we help people share their story, share who they are in a way that helps them practice and get more comfortable about sharing their own story, but also at the same time, understand what is it that people connect with and how do I continue to give more and more of that so that I can drive value long-term, whether it's in a job application or now with what we're doing with Quicc, helping understand the connection to audience and community, especially in a world that is so fragmented today. And so that's kind of where we began. Quicc was formed out of that back in 2019, in May of 2019. And we had learned a lot kind of from the HR technology side of things, but ultimately that technology didn't take off in market the way that we had hoped to. And we saw an amazing opportunity to use some of that to leverage adding captions to video content. And so that's where we started with Quicc. And it was simply just burning in captions to your video content, making that really easy. And we talked to a lot of creators in the industry when we were starting this. And we found that by doing a 1-minute clip out in the social media, oftentimes that workflow was about 45 minutes worth of production time. So getting into Adobe Premiere Pro and fiddling around with something, sending your caption files off, or your video files off to get captioned, then getting those files back maybe a day or two later, then putting it into your workflow. It's just a slow process. And we knew that we could solve that with the first version of Quicc. And once we started to bring that into market in 2019, we we were blown away by your community, Lenka, and so many others who just came along and helped us understand, what is valuable in creating content. How do we help people share their story? What does that look like? And then how do we repurpose that longer term? And that's something I'm really excited to talk about today, which is the repurposing of content. How has Quicc evolved since then? And what is our focus going into the future? So as we've evolved, our focus has become more and more from the, how do we know what you're saying? How do we help you caption your content? But then what if we could take all of the content that was created in your library in 2020, 2019, whatever content you have, but especially in the year that was 2020, where it just felt like it stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked, and you couldn't do much with it at the time, but now maybe you can. How do we go back and find what's there? What's good? What can we leverage and repurpose into a content calendar, whether that's repurposed clips on different channels, or even just discovering, what exists anymore. And so we had some of our larger enterprise customers come to us with, again, this problem, this idea of, we have all this content, it's stacking up, it's piling up in our video libraries. We don't know how to find it. We don't know how to, even decipher what we have, because we've got 10 people out there shooting. And so that became a really big mountain for them to jump onto. So we work with some big companies around the world. Adobe is a customer of ours, TD Ameritrade. We've got the Church of England, actually, is a customer. Many of their parishes use us, the Australian government. So we're kind of across all spectrum of use cases. And the theme was the same. It's discovering the content that they have existing in their library, and then how do we clip that up and repurpose it so that we don't have to spend all of our time shooting more content when we've already said, the thing that we want to say. It's the same piece. It's the same idea. It's the same mission. How do we leverage that? And how do we get that out into ways that fit each audience segment where they're at? And so we started working on that. And that's really led to the evolution of Quicc, which we're about to make a massive update here on our end here in the next week or so. It's always updates, when we come and share with your audience, like, you guys always get the first news. That's it's funny how that works out. But we're getting ready to fully roll out all of Quicc Search. So Quicc Search allows you to go into your library, clip things out, repurpose them, and leverage them across all of your social media channels very quickly. We've got some really cool partnerships we're excited to announce here in the next few, I think not even months now. I think we're down to weeks. Where we can announce some of our partnerships with social media tools many of you probably already use, that we'll be integrating with and even providing some of the backbone for their technology. And that's going to be a lot of fun, because we get to touch more people and see this vision of being heard impacted across a lot more. So enough about all of that. I would love to talk about a couple of things that we've learned along the journey. And then we can dive into some of the use cases, ways that we use Quicc, ways that I use Quicc personally, and answer any of your questions if they're there. So, Lenka, what do you think about diving into, I don't know, what do you think's more interesting for your audience to hear? The quirks and the interesting new things that we've learned along the way, or maybe more about what these large companies do and how they approach video content?
I think both sounds really interesting. Whichever way it makes more sense to you, you can start with, how people are currently using it, and add on top of it what are actually the latest trends that you can see appearing.
Sure. Well, I guess I've kind of talked about it a little bit, so we'll start there with the larger companies and the organizations, and take this from somebody who is not a marketer. I've never been a professional marketer. I was a farm kid, went mathematician, and then ended up in technology somehow. So I'm hopefully regurgitating much smarter people's trends and information to you guys. But from what we see on a technology standpoint is there's this big trend towards leveraging existing libraries of content, as one might imagine. We just had 2020 where there's Zoom calls every day, there's multiple Zoom calls a day, there's all of this content that people are trying to ingest, and it's long and it gets all boring and yuck, right? And so it's short form stuff, leveraging that into compilation videos of like the best quotes of 2020 or highlights for an internal team. Like, here are our best customer testimonials, or here are the best sales calls that we had in this week. And so as we start to see these larger organizations look at their content calendar, look how they're distributing content, whether that stays internal or whether that's going out on their social media channels, it's all geared around finding things and using those moments, those clips, to create this repurposed content within their content calendar. And it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, if you look at the way that they've collected all of this content, while it had to come in very fast, they now have the ability with tools like ours to search through all of it just for what was said. Oftentimes somebody in a room says, hey, remember that sales call when we had, so-and-so, I can't remember where we kept that, but I do remember they said this. And then we just search for it in Quicc, and we can take them straight there. And I'll show you guys how to use that in a moment here. But I think the repurposing of that content and using it helps them keep their costs low. It helps them be nimble with smaller teams, because a lot of these companies have had to decrease the amount of staff that they've had on specific campaigns or projects and reallocate them elsewhere. And so I think that's probably the biggest insight that we've seen is, how do you find things fast and get them out there so that you don't have the cost of creating new content? And I think where this is really applicable, especially to some of the smaller creators who might be saying, well, I don't have large teams of people. I don't have a lot of content, maybe in comparison to an Adobe. But what it does allow you to do is you can find, those moments where you just killed it on a point, whether you're, giving a presentation and it went really well, whether you're creating a new sales video and you just want to include some information about your product or yourself as a company. It's almost like you can go and grab the perfect moments out of all of your video takes and use them together to create the new pieces of content that you want, instead of the time and the cost and the editing to, setting everything up and shooting another video to cover all of the same things anyway. And so internally, we found this as a really valuable tool for our small team as we do direct sales outreach. So one of the areas that's blown up for us this year has been sports, and just understanding the use cases of video within the sports context. It wasn't as big of a deal when we were just working and focusing on captioning content. But as soon as we started sharing with people that, hey, we can search through an entire library of content and find that 15-second clip that you're looking for, naturally, a lot of the people in the sports space, from universities to sports networks to professional teams, started reaching out to us and saying, hey, does this work on sports clips? I mean, if it's a soccer game, a football game, or if it's a rugby match in Australia, or if it's an NBA basketball game, how do we find that moment, or a piece in an interview? How do we discover new talent across a high school level, especially when sports are very restricted or just completely locked out for many communities? And so this, I think, was kind of the second point for us, which was such a surprising space this year, is the sports space. And here in the US, where we're based, we're navigating through what's called a name, image, and likeness trend, which is how do you treat the college or the university athletics as professional sports players? Is there the ability, and how do you award players money for playing these sports? So regardless of where you stand on a topic like that, I think it's fascinating to us that all of a sudden creates this big boom and this big interest in content. whether it's a university looking to bring in new recruits, new athletes into their program, how does the high school kid from Whitewater, Kansas, who may be a really great player, get his content in front of a university program that might say, we would have never found this talent, and they may have gone on and not played collegiate sports at all, if we didn't have access to even the home filmed iPhone shot content that his parents or grandma were taking at the game. And so it's incredible to see just all of the things that have opened up since then, and the direction that that's taken us. Even as a little startup, as a small team, we're always making sure that we stay open to the possibilities and the opportunity, as Quicc is used across so many different areas. But sports has been a really incredible one to see. And I'll be honest, if I was going to pick any sport, my favorite sport is probably esports. So if there's anyone out there with kids who love video games and esports, I'm probably going to lean more into that than anything else, which can get me in trouble sometimes, because it's a lot of fun to talk sports, but I really don't know many of the names that I should know in that industry. So it's a lot of fun to see how I can sidestep out of conversations where I just don't know who they're talking about. So I think that's kind of what we've learned in the last year or so. I mean, it's been a wild ride, but I bet a lot of your audience here, Lenka, is excited to see what Quicc can do now. And I don't know, maybe we can get a sneak peek of what our new version is going to look like here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I'm always up for any kind of sneak peek.
I wasn't going to do the sneak peek, but I saw that it's open here on my computer, so we might have to spin that up.
Maybe not, but if you just show us what Quicc can do right now, how people are really using it, and how you can, as you said, use your video library to repurpose it for more shorter social media design snippets, then people will see how much they already can do. Yeah. And if there is anything that you can kind of tease that's coming, I'm always happy.
Well, what I'll do is I will walk through the use cases, because I know that's applicable right now. In the power of it, I mean, we use it every day. It's incredible to see how valuable and powerful it is, even in your own workflow. And then what I'll do is I'll pull up some of the design files here, because I can show the design files. I don't want to necessarily go into a buggy environment that might not work because it's not fully polished. But I'll open up some design files here, and then we can look at what the new Quicc Gen 3, I think is what we're calling it, will be like here in just a few weeks. And I'll tell you what, it'll be so much better, even in our own internal workflows and testing. This afternoon, I've got a couple meetings over this. It is just so much easier to get things done, and we're trying to shave off every little second of your workflow and your time as possible, because hey, the less time you can spend editing content and getting it scheduled, the more time you have to be creative, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so I will share my screen here. Let me know when you guys can see. Here we go. I want windows. Right there. Awesome. Here we go. Everyone see this? Great. So this is the Quicc video management page. And this is where the majority of your content lives. I'll skip the uploading stuff because that's really straightforward. I'll cover it fast, but I won't necessarily go through a full upload process. When you're uploading content, we can take multiple files. We can take single files at a time. It's really just drag and drop into this box here. And then you can choose a language that you want to transcribe in, which is very helpful, especially when we're dealing with accents. You can choose Australian accent, British accents, US English accents. And then we can do other languages as well. So if it's spoken in French, if it's spoken in German, we can transcribe that to the text in that language. So that works fantastic. Just drag files into here. They'll show you that they're ready over on the right-hand side, and press upload to library to get them going in. And once those videos come into your library, they go through a very short transcribing process. And where this blue box with a little pencil is, it'll say transcribing. That really only takes a couple of minutes for the content that you're loading up into your account. And then you have the opportunity to go through, edit captions if you want to. You can change the stylization. We'll go through that, as well as clip out content, which this is the workflow I'm the most excited about. I think it's the biggest power. But I'll show you an example here of if we wanted to go into a presentation at a collegiate graduation, and we want to grab out some quotes for maybe a compilation of the best quotes from this speaker. So we have a friend of ours lives out in California by the name of Tim Draper. He talks a lot about cryptocurrencies, which seems to be the hot thing these days. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this little search bubble on the right-hand side, and I'm going to type in Bitcoin. And this is going to search through my entire library of content here. So it's searching through all of this content, and it's going to find every time that Bitcoin was mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and search, and right away it's found two clips, two moments in this one video of Tim's in which he was talking about Bitcoin. So I'll zoom in here a little bit so we can see this. But what we have is we've got the file name, and we can see a little bit of the transcript here. And that shows us, hey, you know, do I want this piece of the overall clip, or maybe there's another bit a little further in the video that would be interesting for us to clip out. So I think this first one looks interesting. Let's go ahead and click into that. And that's going to take us into the clipping area of Quicc, where we zoom into that video. We look at about a minute's worth of content at a time, and we allow you to take out short clips from that video. So I can close down this search bar, zoom in here a little bit. You can see the preview window. We can play back the video, find the spot that we're looking for. But what we decided to do, which I think is pretty easy to use actually, is we show the transcript down here at the bottom. So we can see exactly the line of this text. So each line is got a slash at the beginning of it and a slash at the end of it to show you, you know, if you're putting captions on this piece of content, you know, you'd see a line on the screen at a time, and then it would go to the next line, to the next line. And so we see this line here is talking about Bitcoin. And so maybe I just want to edit this by using the text, the transcript down here. So I would look in, I would say, hey, you know, maybe this has kind of the beginning part of the thought here. So we'll actually just start it way up here. So I can left click on this slash, and then I can shift left click down here at the end. So maybe we're going to do towards the end of this introduction, we're going to click on that slash right there. And I've now selected a 41-second clip out of this longer 1 minute zoomed in area of the longer form clip. And I can just call this Bitcoin clip. I'm just going to go ahead and save that. So what we're doing in Quicc is we're going in, we're taking that little piece out, and then we're moving it over into a new section of your video management library, which is called clips. And so we're creating a brand new video file, and you can edit that whether you want to burn in captions, or in this use case, if we're just looking to create like a compilation video of a bunch of different clips, we can take this and we can send it off, whether it's to a video editing team we already have working on that, or if we just want to bring it into our own video process and just butt the clips up next to each other, we can do that as well. So that's been fantastic. We've actually used this in some Canva workflows. We've used this in some in-video workflows. We've even used this in some of the Adobe Premiere workflows for our own use cases. And taking those clips and putting them together in these video editors that we use has been awesome. So that clip is finished clipping out. It's available right here. We can go ahead and download that original file just by clicking these three buttons here on the right, downloading the original. If we wanted to rename it, we can, but we can also go in and edit this as its own individual clip. And this takes, maybe some of you who have used Quicc in the past, this takes you back a ways to what our early days really looked like in managing and editing a transcript. And so here we have the video preview over on the left-hand side. We can move our captions around wherever we want on that video. So maybe we want to bump them up here to the top. We can preview all of the text on the right-hand side. So if we need to make any corrections, we can correct names, we can correct punctuation if we'd like here on the right-hand side just by clicking in. So we could say, I don't know, let's say Bitcoin and say Jason Coin. Awesome. So we can edit things very easily, very quickly, and then kind of preview through this whole piece of content to make sure it says everything that we need it to. Then the other part about this, which I think is awesome, is the presets. We can add a preset very fast and then move that preset wherever we want it. So maybe if we wanted to match, let's try and match maybe the red that they're using here. We could go in and we could say, well, I think we're looking maybe for a little bit more of a red color. Maybe we'll go a little darker background, still the white text. Yeah, it might not quite be there. So let's adjust it a little bit more, maybe deeper maroon. There we go. That's getting somewhat close. But we could play around with this and adjust it to match exactly the school colors in this university address. And then if we want, we can burn in the captions here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And this is going to go and Quicc programmatically goes through and looks at every frame of that video, and it draws the captions onto that video. So it goes into this finalization stage. And for a 41-second clip, I mean, even if you're doing something larger, like if you're doing a whole video, so if we did this whole like 20-minute keynote, that would only take probably 4 or 5 minutes to actually finalize and burn in captions, because we can go through that same captioning process on any one of these other videos that we've uploaded. So whether it's, a YouTube episode that's about 12 minutes long, whether it's a sports interview that's 30 minutes long, we can go through and we can edit those captions and burn that in very quickly. So that clip's already done. You can download that sucker and have a look at what it looks like. So right there, you've got a clip ready to go. You can download it directly to your device. You can use it wherever you want, and you've got the ability now to publish this out, whether it's in your scheduled content calendar or if you want to send it directly through any of your social channels. So those are probably the two primary use cases for Quicc in terms of finding a piece of content, clipping it out, downloading the original if you need to, and then adding captions onto it if you want to use that as more of a social clip, as a social piece. But that probably, I'd say that covers 80 to 90% of people's workflow, which hopefully it felt very quick. It felt very easy to use. We want to keep it as drag and drop as possible, as simple to use, and not confusing stuff everywhere. I don't know how to change things, how to dive in. But I don't know. There's some changes that we're making that will hopefully put it all in one place for people. So it's very fast, all in one spot.
This is amazing. I'm so happy that you explain it to people how they can use Quicc, not only to add captions, because that's what we all know we need to be doing, to add captions or videos. But I love the power of simply typing a keyword, typing a phrase, and seeing all the clips that you have in your bank, and being very easily to be able to pick the clip, to pick a couple clips, add the branding, which for me, I love a little bit of a good branding.
Yeah.
So add the branding into the mix. So really it has your colors, it has your style, it looks the way you want it to have. And then in just a couple of clicks, download the video and put it in your social media, and you're done. And it really makes dealing with video so much easier for a person like me, who I don't like editing video. I don't like dealing with the video. The moment this is over, I don't like dealing with that.
Yeah.
So knowing this, that when I do videos, like for us, the way we use Quicc is when I do these sessions, I do have a pen and paper and I write a couple of keywords of moments where I'm like, oh, this is a great kind of a quote. This is a great moment. And then I pass it over to our content creator. And I'm like, hey, Eva, in this video, there were like this phrases or this phrases. Or whenever we're creating content about, for Instagram or about Facebook. And whenever we want to say something, we just go on Quicc, all our videos, all these sessions, we always upload them to Quicc, we have them there. And then whenever we need new content for social media, which is a keyword, we have it there. And it's so easy then to put it into a Canva template, to have it the right size for your social media, and you're done.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I mean, that process right there is so crazy. I remember when we started talking, when you were asking questions about Quicc, I mean, I've got a pile of Post-it notes here on my table that I just like, okay, I'll jot something down. Oh, that was really cool. Maybe the video title or when I wrote it. So I just have a reference point. It's like, what's the topic? What are some keywords that I remember hearing? And it's so easy to hand that off to somebody who didn't watch or create that piece of content. Because, Lenka, as you and I go through this process, and anyone here who's tuning in tonight, thank you all for being here, by the way. You all have this firsthand experience of you heard it once, you've seen it. Even if you weren't fully paying attention, you at least got some audio cue of, oh, that's interesting. I might want to go back and find that. But for somebody who has never touched that piece of content, to your point, a video editor, this has become one of the top use cases for leveraging search, which I think is phenomenal. And this became very apparent when we were working with Adobe on Adobe Max is, how do they find content across this entire event? And, this team's working on this stuff over here, this team's over here. It's very difficult to know like what even exists in this massive library. And so that's super powerful.
This tool would have saved us so much time last year at the Cambridge Social Media Day when, we had so much content in day one, and overnight we wanted to create a highlight reel to showcase on the next day. So the whole day, all of us were trying to write the timestamps, write the narrative, where's the good moment to hand it over to the videographer. Like imagine if this tool had existed or for us this year, how our job will be so much more easier. You don't need to remember the timestamp. You don't need to remember anything else. All we need to give to the videographer is access to Quicc.
Yep.
And the videos, I don't need to be uploading them somewhere else from him to be downloading them somewhere else. I can just upload them all to Quicc. And anyone from the team can then have access to it, and social media team can do the social media snippets. The video guy only gets the list of the keywords with a reference point potentially for the video, and they can do their job in such a more efficient way. So I love the fact that it is your hub for everything. You don't need to have Dropbox, you don't need to have Google Drive, you don't need to be sharing links and uploading and downloading. It's always there, and the capacity you're giving to people is incredible. But also the fact that, when you're working with someone who haven't seen the content, but they need to do something with it, you give them very simple instructions of the keywords, and for them, it's so much easier to find it then. And until now, this has been my personal challenge with the video, is because you can scan text, you can search in text very easily to find the right keyword. Until you launched this tool, this wasn't possible, really, to search video, to search video with keywords. Like this is such a groundbreaking thing. So I'm absolutely thrilled about this.
Well, and it's funny because when we talk to a lot of different stakeholders, one of the questions that often comes up, and if you've ever created content, you'll understand how kind of crazy this question is in the first place. But one of the questions that comes up is like, how are you guys different than YouTube, for example? Mm-hmm. And our response is, look, not only are we transcribing everything that you say before you publish it online, because we know YouTube's not the only channel that video creators are using, right? They may be using snippets on LinkedIn or sending things out to Twitter or using it in a montage on TikTok. Like there's a lot of different use cases. So not only do we transcribe everything, but we make it searchable for you, the creator, not in this kind of invisible algorithm out there that uses titles and tags and things that are all manually done anyway to help feed up content. And so kind of as where we're thinking about going with this, and I noticed that there was a question from Paula about reformatting video clips, and how do we think about that? How do we use it internally? We want to try and stay away from being one more video editor, because we partner with incredible companies, and we will be partnering with more continuing out this year to integrate into those workflows. So what we do internally is we have Canva templates, for example, that we would put content in, and that we would use that within Quicc. So we would get it formatted the way that we want it in Canva anyway, whether we're putting a couple clips together or a couple things together, bring that into Quicc. We say, hey, we've got the heading for this video where we want it. We can bring the captions in over anything. We can drag it right to the spot that it needs to fit there at the bottom. And then we can clip out content from there, because we take all of our master content and we clip it up as we need it. So we edit the captions for just the little pieces that we use online. And that's been by far, in a way, the fastest and easiest workflow for us. So we think about that we know there are existing tools out there that do some of these things. And there may be a day where we decide that there's opportunity for us to include that within Quicc. But right now we want to stay focused as a lean team to deliver the best experience, especially with something that's as new as searching through all of your video content. We haven't got that as good as we think we can get it. So we're going to continue putting our time and effort in there, and let those who have already done, format a clip a certain way, use an Instagram template or a LinkedIn template. We even use those tools with our own content to drive that, and then use Quicc kind of on top of it.
We do absolutely the same, because most companies or more small businesses that we have in this community, they will be using Canva. Canva is such a widely used tool for graphic design, and since they allowed and launched a video feature, it really became so much more powerful, where you can very quickly take the clip that you have and either do it one way or the other, depending on the platform, that you either get the video from Quicc or the captioned, and you put it on Canva and you position it to where you want it, or you create full-on template and download it and then put it in Quicc and then add the captions on top of it. We do use one way or the other, quite depending on the platform, because for some platforms, like for example, IGTV often has a challenge that there are so many different sizes, so many different formats, and it keeps cropping the things in such an odd way. So I always leave so much crop marks. And it was the one thing that I was like looking at, I'm like, maybe if you could make the crop marks for the text so I can make sure that it's not here, that it's here, that might be helpful, potentially. A suggestion for a new feature.
Yes.
But
and I was just going to say, we know that there is a lot of value in being able to build tools that allow our users and any user to crop, to fit the right ratio. But what if, just throwing this out there, see how many of my cards I want to show today. What if there was a way for that all to just be done for you already on a clip that you didn't even know you had or would be useful, but you get the piece of content delivered to you like you had a magic video editor out there who already knew all of the content you've ever uploaded and could say hey, we think this would be a great clip to use today. What do you think?
I love the hint of using a little bit more of artificial intelligence to really predict your needs. It's one thing to really know your needs and really use this tool really kind of actively to create your own videos. But also, in most cases, like in our case, there's so much content that we'll never be able to go through. And knowing that there is someone kind of recommending me and telling me here's a video that you could try.
Yeah. And even if it's in conjunction with some of these other big names in the marketing space, tools and platforms that people already use, whether it's scheduling out content or getting data and feedback on what's working within their content library. Now imagine if you just had this like behind the scenes video person or program that could say, we're looking at everything, at this entire landscape, and we may not be smart enough to know when and what to post, but we could at least show you things that we think are interesting. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, as we think about kind of the long-term play in this space, is how do we get to that point where, yeah, it would be cool to be able to crop things and change, the specific viewports of videos. But what if we can kind of like jump past that and just say like it's already done? So
yeah, here's a clip for you.
Here's a clip.
On social media.
We actually think it'll work best on LinkedIn. So here's a clip for LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that.
There you go. All right. Shall we go into the sneak peek?
Yes, please.
I will flick over here. Yes. So this is what the new dashboard of Quicc is going to look like. So when I was going in and editing a video, this is kind of be some of the new design for what that looks like. So I can break it down here for you fairly quickly. And then I won't show too much more than this, but we really want to treat the text like a Word document, because we realize that if you're scanning through, even just a segment of a clip, or you're trying to navigate through an entire library of content, sometimes it's really important to know the context around what was said. And so, if we can kind of scroll through this entire block of text and we can say like, this right here, this single sentence here at the top is what I want to clip out. Maybe that's valuable. Maybe we can highlight certain areas and just make clips from that very quickly, very easily. So we've got a better way to view your entire transcript. We've got more file details. We've condensed a lot of the settings for stylizing your content up here at the top. So it's a lot easier to see all the time. You can search for all of your transcripts right away on every page and see a drop down of all the results. You can access and save those results whenever you want to come back to them. So you can continue working through one video and maybe make 4 or 5 or 6 clips out of that video, and then go to a different search and go to a different video and make several clips out of that. And then really the whole clipping component is all embedded on the same page. So instead of clipping first and then going back and stylizing and adding captions, we can actually save clips individually right here. So you can use this timeline and you can select, this first line and the second line. Those are the 2 that I want to include in my clip. So I'm just going to move these bars around and clip that out, name it as a new file, and it goes straight to your video library. Then you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, we also have a folder structure now. So you'll be able to sort things through folders. You have different nested folders. And then you'll have some notifications. And you'll be able to see the entire storage within your Quicc account. So that's what's coming. We're internally testing this now to make sure it meets all of our standard to launch it live. And then we'll be making some big announcements here shortly. Sneak peek. There you go.
That looks amazing. And really, having a context to the video, that if you're creating a clip, then knowing really what is the additional bits, and be it for your social media caption or anything like that, to really, when you're working in a flow, or even for the clip, to make sure that the clip really makes sense. And it's really adding so much value on top of the magical tool that you already have. So thank you for the sneak peek. Thank you for the insights. We have one question.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll be able to give us some advice. I know that this might be a little bit off your particular expertise, but it's quite interesting. And we always try to answer whatever we can. So do you have any advice on how to secure videos that no one can access or pass them on when they have gained access? It's so funny.
Thank you so much for asking this. This is something that we think about a lot. Number one, because I just don't want my own videos being shared or accessed if I don't intend for them to be. So there's a couple of different layers to this. The first one is maybe like the super techie, like real deep into our infrastructure and our architecture. So we use cloud-based storage solutions that have very strict guidelines around how data goes into that virtual private cloud. So we store things in a way in which our computers, our servers are the only ones that have permission to funnel traffic in and out of those servers. So we've got some really cool firewalls and architecture that my engineers could give you an entire weekend's worth of architecture design and theory around network security, cloud storage security. So that's kind of our first layer, is making sure that every new user who comes into Quicc gets this private bucket, this box that their content goes into, whether that's your transcript data, whether that's your transcript edits and corrections, your account information, or your actual video content itself. So that all goes into your little user bucket and profile on our end. All of the payment information that we take and manage is managed by a PCI compliant third party, Stripe, actually, if anyone's heard of them. They're one of the fastest growing startups in that space. I say startup, they went public, so it's a big company now. But they're absolutely amazing to work with because they really prioritize security and the compliance and regulation, whether it's GDPR or CCPA or whatever the case may be. They work with government contracts. So there's big, fancy firewalls around all of that information as well. And then when we look at how users can interact with their content through the web browser. So if you were where I was in your Quicc account and you're accessing content locally on your own machine, there's a couple of ways that we help secure this. So the first one is your account and your video IDs are tied together, meaning that your account is the only account that has access to the video ID in question. And now we're making some adjustments and changes because there are some users who want to share their content across multiple members, maybe multiple Quicc team members. And this really lays the groundwork for us to be able to do permission sharing via Teams, or maybe even public clips that people can go and use or download. And so making sure that we understand the way that our users want that data to be shared and turned on or turned off will always give you all of the control over that content. We never own your content. That's something we're very clear about in our terms of service, is that you remain in full control over what you can do with that. If you want us to delete it, we'll get rid of it. If you want us to hold on to it, we'll keep it around for a while for you. But the permission access will really help, whether you're sharing it on a private small little team, maybe you want to expand that and bring some others who are contractors or collaborators outside of your team and give them temporary access and permissions, or if you want to share that out publicly, you'll be able to do that in the future as well.
That's incredible. It's so helpful and really reassuring to know that our content and video, especially video, is quite sensitive content. Often it's in safe hands, especially if we're uploading such huge volumes of data, which for some people it could be private conversations, it could be meeting notes and stuff like that for further internal usage. So knowing that it's all safe and secure, it's absolutely wonderful.
Well, and that's also something I think which is worth pointing out, because we want to live in kind of the life cycle for creators that is prior to it being published in public, right? So there's some things that we can do with product that a company like YouTube couldn't, for example. So when you're publishing things on YouTube, it's meant to be viewed. It's meant to be accessible, at least, even if it's only supposed to be viewed online. Now, there are ways that you can go and like pull people's YouTube videos out, create a new YouTube video and upload it in your own account, and you're breaching YouTube's terms of service. But there's not necessarily any like stopping that, right? Because it's been sent out publicly by the creator in the first place. For us, when we know we're dealing with content that may be very secure and private for companies, whether it's even our own like shareholder videos and updates that we do within Quicc, for our own investors and shareholders, that's something that we want to keep private, right? And it's very easy for us to do that because we live in that life cycle of we're we're not providing that portal into your content. We're giving you the tool to edit the content and to create new content as you see fit. But then it's up to you and how you want to like send it out to the world. And maybe that's you download it into a Dropbox folder and you send them the Dropbox link. So I think we really like that kind of degree of separation where we can say, we don't have to be that person that says, oh, sorry, data breach, all of your content's out there for the world to see because it was all public and people started grabbing it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jason. Looking if we have any further questions, but I think that's all that we've got for today. So thank you so much for joining us today and really showing us how we can repurpose more our video content and get more out of it with Quicc. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to Jason. Where is the best way to find you?
Oh, the best way to find me. I probably am on LinkedIn the most anymore these days. And my email, if anyone wants to reach out to me directly here at Quicc, is just jt@quicc.io, jt@quicc.io. I can't promise that my inbox won't be flooded, but I will get back to you as fast as possible. The fastest way to reach me is probably messaging me on LinkedIn. And connecting without it being a sales pitch, because I ignore most of those. But I'm always open to collaborations and meeting users that we have that are using Quicc in interesting ways, as well as answering questions. If you're new around here and you're looking at Quicc as a tool in your stack to help make video content creation easy and not painfully long editing days, absolutely use Lenka's link. I think you posted it. Yes, you did post it.
Yeah, just to say huge shout out and thank you for really allowing us to bring a special offer to our community. We only have a couple of partnerships because we're very careful with who we work with. And I'm so happy that, we are working with you guys and we can offer an amazing discount to anyone who wants to try Quicc really on the top level and utilize it, because we've been using it for a while now and absolutely loving it. So yeah, go ahead, click the link, use the code, enjoy Quicc.
Yeah, and honestly for us, so normally pricing at $150 a month, getting that down to $99 with your code right there, Lenka, it's an incredible value because in many workflows, we're replacing a full video editor's pipeline. Which can, if you're like us, we've spent a lot of money on video editors every month if they're just clipping up content. And so while I think that there's value leveraging video editors on your team, having gone through video editing myself, I don't want to be clipping up content all day long. I don't want to be adding text. I want to be creating the awesome animations and providing creativity and value to the content that makes it stand out, that makes it pop, that's branded. It's the stuff that matters in a lot of creative avenues. But just
that is the way to really use videographers. Like, I don't think many videographers want to be doing this kind of job.
Right.
So having a tool for that, and then having the budget to really use the money to create some amazing adverts, I think is perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Lenka, for having me. It's always fun to hear what you guys are doing over there across the pond. But please stay safe, and I look forward to the next time we can meet up in person.
Yeah, I really hope so that I'll get to see you guys again one day soon. Be it here, be there. But yeah, thank you again for a wonderful session. Thank you everyone for watching. And yeah, have a lovely evening, or for you, have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.